let's jump into now, the best team maybe in this conference. We'll see. It's been the best team in this conference for years now. Thomas Jefferson Jaguars defending back-to-back state champions at the 4A level. Bill Chirpak is a very good coach. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah. What did you expect me to say right there? Yeah,
yeah, he's pretty good, isn't he?
Yeah, he's kind of below par. No, he's the greatest coach in WPIL history. He is up there. When you think great WPIL coaches, at least in the football, even in any sport, but especially football, Bill Chirpak comes to mind. I think of Bill Chirpak. Jim Render at Upper St. Clair for years, Bob Palka at West A for years. Now he's trying to rebuild Mount Lebanon program. Those are the big three that come to my mind. And Chirpak's still at it, winning state championships and WPIL championships. He just won his 9th WPIL title, tying Bob Palka last season. So, in my opinion, he's the best coach in WPIL history. You could argue in state history, although there's a guy out by the name of Coach Roth in Southern Columbia that would say something different, and his resume speaks for himself. But Bill Chirpak, you heard it here, greatest coach in WPIL history.
And his ability to fill talent that graduate is what sets him apart. I'd say, you lose a guy like Shane Stump 2 years ago, and you just fill him right up with Jake Pugh, and Jake Pugh was amazing last year at quarterback.
Absolutely, and two different style quarterbacks too at that. And still to be able to win a state championship with both of them. And another thing that's so impressive to me, going back and bragging on Bill Chirpak so much, he's won state championships in different eras. He won those 3 in the mid 2000s, and now he's won back-to-back in late 2010s and 2020. I think that's very impressive, too, for a high school coach, because you see a lot of coaches that'll win a state title. They'll win 1 or 2, all at once, and, they'll coach for many more years and never get back, let alone win one. But, yeah, Bill Chirpak has gotten back and won 2 more on top of his 3 he already had. So, that just speaks to him, his coaching, and the players in Thomas Jefferson School District.
Yeah, and he's got, a boatload of talent coming back from last year, and even more of a reason to say, hey, he could win another one, right? So, you look at the guys that got coming back, Connor Murga at running back, Elias Lippincott at running back are going to be Elias Lippincott kind of in the same vein as a Deron Van Bibber last year. A similar type of player could, be that weapon at both receiver and running back, the kind of a tweener a little bit. McLean Flynn, a wide receiver. Jordan Mayer, a tight end, I think, and also tackle. I think, he's a guy that's gotten a Boston College offer. Kent State commit Nick Bryan on the offensive and defensive line. So there is a lot of talent, a lot of depth on this Thomas Jefferson team. And I'm going to ask you straight up, you got the situation at quarterback, but aside from that, is Thomas Jefferson just about as good as last season, just straight out of the gate with all these guys coming back?
Yes, but no. Yes, because they returned a lot of great talent, a lot of Division I talent. Great athletes, McLean Flynn, you mentioned, just committed to Pitt Johnstown to play baseball the other day. Jordan Myers getting Power 5 offers. Boston College is the one you think comes to mind. Nick Bryan just committed to Kent State. Connor Murga's probably going to play college ball. The big question for me, though, is who's they going to replace at quarterback. Now, the upside is they made it look pretty easy going from Shane Stump, who no one thought Jake Pugh would be able to replicate what Shane Stump did. Jake Pugh's walking away with a state championship as a starting quarterback. So I'm sure Bill Chirpak knows who his starter is going to be. If he doesn't right now, I'm sure he will by the end of tomorrow, considering the first scrimmages are this weekend. But like I said, he knows what he's doing. He's got nine of them things on his fingers, championship rings. So he knows what he's doing. he'll have this whoever is going to be the quarterback for this team ready.
And Jeremiah, how would you like to hear their out of conference schedule? Just read out loud, because it is interesting. I mean, you got Clairton, even though that's a scrimmage. I'll give them credit, that is a scrimmage. But at Gateway on September 3rd, Week 1, South Fayette, those are two tough out-of-conference games. Two 5A teams that are, definitely in the playoffs. What do you think about the schedule here? Out of conference, and then you got Belle Vernon 2 weeks later.
Yeah, I mean, that's what TJ does. I mean, TJ's not afraid to go out and schedule whoever because they're Thomas Jefferson. They're arguably the biggest and baddest brand in WPIL football for good reason. Gateway's going to be a tough one. Gateway was good as it was already. Now they lose Derek Davis. They have Patrick Baughty Jr. back, the Cincinnati commit. The Birch brothers coming in. Brad's coming into his sophomore year, and he's got an Oregon offer. So that's going to be tough. South Fayette's always a playoff team, and Coach Rossai is going to have them ready. And then Belle Vernon, at Belle Vernon at the beach, is this going to be the year for Belle Vernon? We'll find out later when we talk about that, when we give our standings here a little bit later. And then McKeesport, that's going to be a big game. It's at McKeesport. McKeesport's definitely going to be confident heading into that game because they beat them last year at TJ. So, but like I said, Thomas Jefferson, they don't care. They're Thomas Jefferson. They know what they got to do. Bill Chirpek knows what he's got to do. His players know what they got to do. The community knows what they need to do. So, it's easy to speculate, but it's hard to go against Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah, and those two, probably the two toughest conference games when you're looking at McKeesport and Belle Vernon. Both of those games are going to be game of the weeks right now as it is. But, at McKeesport, at Belle Vernon, you got to go do your job on the road if you're Thomas Jefferson. They did their job at home partially last year against those two teams, but definitely made up for it in the playoffs, beating Mars, beating Plum, beating Aliquippa, beating Oil City, and beating Jersey Shore in Hershey. Final question here. The three best teams here in 4A, all top 10 teams in the state, are teams from the WPIAL, and two of them are in this conference, in Belle Vernon, Thomas Jefferson, and then Aliquippa. Out of those three teams, I mean, we're going to get some good playoff matchups out of those three, don't you think? We are going to get Belle Vernon and Aliquippa either, in the championship in a rematch or in a semifinal rematch, or Thomas Jefferson Aliquippa in a semifinal. It's going to be fun. So what are your final thoughts here?
Yeah, I mean, it was last year. I mean, Belle Vernon, it looked like they were going to go up to the pit and beat Aliquippa last year for the longest time. Obviously, we know Aliquippa came back, and I was there in North Allegheny for the WPIAL championship with Thomas Jefferson and Aliquippa, that back-and-forth matchup that was decided in overtime. One of the best games I've ever been to, and definitely the best I've ever covered. We're definitely going to see great playoff matches again. 4A is going to be loaded again, especially in the WPIL for great reason. We talked about this conference having three big names. Don't forget the Aliquippa Quips are still in this classification as well. And their offensive line is monstrous. So, they have athletes. So, definitely 4A is going to be wild ride again, especially come playoff time.